Ba, 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 ba. We need a theme song. Ba, 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 ba. This is the Daily Hot Low Effort theme song. Ba, 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 ba.
This
There we go.
sounds like a Strong Bad song. Are you familiar with Strong Bad at all? You're a Gen
No,
Xer.
no,
No?
but I'm not familiar with Strong Bad.
Strong Bad's early internet, he would just make bad songs about, all sorts of things. Yeah, no, they definitely had a Strong Bad feel to it.
Hey,
We'll do theme songs today.
it's not AI, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have
It's
one step over AI slop. I brought you
That's
the
right.
real deal.
All original. What's gonna be funny is YouTube will copyright strike it and be like, no, that's a
Yeah.
Metallica song.
Yeah.
Can't do that.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show this evening. I think tonight we're doing. Candace is taking the solo, although Andrew Wilson showed up over on the Trigger Guys stuff, and it was fun. So we got a take on that. I got Warren Smith watching that. We'll see if we get there, but that's what's on tap tonight. Um, News wise, I figured we touch base on what's going on in the news. So the ceasefire was coming today, and they go going back and forth. We're coming. Nah, we're not going. We're coming. Nah, we're not going. And then Trump announced, I don't know, about 3 hours ago, 4 hours ago, that he's unilaterally extending the ceasefire, and which means he can call it off whatever he wants because there was no end date or anything. And they're like, no, you can't. We're not observing the end of the ceasefire. So, but they're not going to do anything, or they haven't done anything as of yet. Plus, it looks like there's a lot of weird stuff going on inside Iran. There's bombs and stuff. They're fighting each other. So anyway, that's where we are there. We're kind of in a holding pattern. Some people say Trump tacoed again, and then fans are saying that he's just tightening the noose because we have there's nothing going in and out of Iran. They can't get their oil out, and they actually import gasoline, and we blockaded their blockade. We Don Zooed them. We Don Zooed them. You got a blockade? Okay, we're going to blockade your blockade. So that's what's
Right.
going on there. That's on a holding pattern. The other big news was the Southern Law Poverty Center. They fight all the white
Real quick,
supremacists.
before you move on, I do want to say whoever then you were hearing through the grapevine that if JD goes, it's probably to sign something, and if he
Yep.
doesn't go, it's because there isn't. Give that a pip of credibility for whoever you heard that for.
Yeah, I can't remember the original source for that. It might have been Barack David. He works for Axios, but I can't don't. That's a vibe. I can't remember where I saw it. I know that was the general consensus though, was that if he didn't go, then it wasn't going to fly. Now what was it? Oh yeah, the SLPC was
SPLC, Southern
SPLC.
Poverty Law Center.
Yeah. Anyway, they go after white supremacists, and they've been indicted for actually paying the white supremacists. Now, again, an indictment, ham sandwich. We'll have to see the evidence as it comes out. But as of right now, it looks like they were funding the Unite the Right that did the whole Charlottesville. Both people are good people on both sides. It looks like the SL. If the evidence holds up, I'm gonna put that in there because we haven't had the trials. Just an
Allegedly,
indictment.
yeah, exactly.
If the evidence holds up, then it oh boy, just that they were paying off. And they went to the KKK, the Nazi party. In other words, in order to create the problem for their existence, they were funding the problem.
Well, and
Um,
that's again from like a left wing perspective. If you had said this to me before Trump, I would say, yeah, this is what the feds do. They
it's
infiltrate. They kind of
COINTELPRO.
well,
It's COINTELPRO. That's what they called that back in the day.
exactly going
Yeah,
exactly right,
yeah.
right. Yeah,
It's
that this isn't anything new. That you have to follow the evidence because sometimes it's
yeah,
entrapment and sometimes it isn't.
yeah. It's
Much
just
like
outsourced. It isn't the FBI doing it directly. It's them using a shell company, or in this case, a shell 5013C
yeah,
R2D2
it's fee free, right?
MMLNOPQRTS plus plus. It's them using one of them things instead of having holding it in house. And
Yeah,
then
it will come down. My last thought on that comes down to how much they are funding the events or funding the insiders who collect the information, because that's what's supposed to be happening. But again, we've seen in the past that these organizations have entrapped or ensnared people who otherwise wouldn't be doing those actions into doing so.
today was the
Um,
first salvo, just so we got news of the
that's the
indictments,
first I've heard of
and we
that.
got and we got the paperwork until the trial starts, and then I'm sure, well,
Because
the
I
right wing
remember,
media will follow it.
right, I remember coming to a whole lot of assumptions about that Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping case, but then I do believe three of those guys, three or four of those guys, I don't remember the exact details, but they were let off because they were entrapped into doing something that, again, they
Yeah.
wouldn't have otherwise um,
Yep.
done so. But yeah, no.
Yep. And
Well,
then the last thing is Starmer's still in deep shit. I watched. He had one of the civil service people, basically the English version of Alexander Vindman. You know, when he came out during the impeachment against Trump, Starmer
yes,
had one of those guys come out, and and man, on that. Now the big question is, why did they do it? Yeah, why did they put Mandelson, who was, and the Epstein stuff was known, like the Wexler stuff. So you didn't even need the files to know he was knee deep into Epstein. And the Labor Party's excuse was, well, Trump's in Epstein, so we wanted to send an Epstein guy so we could massage Trump. But that doesn't make any sense because they sent him over in December before Trump took office. And number one, he's a political appointee. Britons don't do that with their ambassadors. Their ambassadors are civil servants. America does. Our ambassadors are all political appointees, but it's unusual over in England. And so that was the first one. They're like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. Number two, Trump doesn't like him, didn't want him. Vocally, everyone around Trump, they hated the guy. And so they put him in December, and it was Joe Biden's administration that rushed that paperwork to make sure he got sworn in as
gotcha.
ambassador.
Before.
Yeah, yeah. With the Epstein files stuff, why the Democrats are all about them Epstein files? Why did they rush like hell to get an Epstein? That's literally Epstein's best buddy as in that role to be the ambassador while Trump is president. But anyway, that's what was. They're all fighting about it over there. I think Starmer will hold until the May elections, and then he'll be gone by the end of May. And I think that's all the top
End of
news
May.
from the big
Yeah, you said end of May?
end of May. Yeah, because they can't get rid of him before the May elections because that would be devastating for Labor. Labor's going to get whacked anyway. They have what they call local elections. It's like their
Mm,
mayors and townships and shires and whatever fucking little things they got over in England. So, but it's all tied. I don't know. Their politics is real weird. I'm sure they'd say the same about ours, but
right.
I don't know the deets. I don't know the deets, man. But anyway, they'll hold on to him until that's over, and then I think he'll get thrown overboard.
Sure. So we'll have some more to come there. But yeah, how about Virginia redistricting? Did that pass?
It won barely, but it did win.
Really? Okay. Well,
I have
then that
not looked.
bodes
I haven't
well
looked
for the
in
right then, right?
for well. I mean, we lost 6, but it does because now Florida is going to go all. Nebraska will work to get rid of the blue dot.
Yeah,
Now all the
less
red
about
states have
redistricting,
incentive.
more like the results, right? Because I know Democrats like to make a huge amount of hay anytime they win like the smallest little special election.
Yeah, yeah,
But
you're
this is
right.
like a statewide thing, you know what I mean? Like that seems to indicate something.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean it's now the Democrats won. They just didn't win by a whole lot,
Hmm.
but they
Which
won.
again,
Oh, I
wouldn't
see what you're
indicate a
saying.
blue wave. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, 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 no. Now, to be fair, Republicans
It's
were
just
extra
one result.
motivated to protect their, and they were trying to protect their voice as best they could. It was the last stand. It was the Alamo, but
Right.
yeah, it's basically going to be California on the Potomac. Um, and now that'll give leverage for all the red states that were kind of pussyfooting with redistricting. There'll be no Democrat representation in any red state now. It's
Right.
gone.
They get the go ahead essentially.
So basically, we're going to have all red states, all blue states. You will have
That bodes
no
well.
voice. Yeah, you'll have no voice if you're a Democrat in a red state, and you will have no voice if you're if you're a Republican in a blue state. That's
That sounds
gone.
about right. Yep.
And by 2030, if you look at the census data, Democrats are losing like 10 seats, 10 electoral votes in the 2030 census because they keep losing people. And so everyone's running to red states. And also, the VRA is about to drop the voting rights court case from the Supreme Court, and so the South's going to take they're going to take another 26. They're going to kill another 26 seats. So the Republicans might actually win the midterms, but only because they carved the turkey and got the biggest pieces for themselves.
And that's the thing is, yeah, all the voters just have to kind of sit by, honestly, because it's once the majority of a state is set, they're going like it's at least done by a vote. In California, in what is this, Virginia or wherever it was. That's the thing though, is it's we just voters don't pick their representatives anymore. Representatives get to
Yep.
pick their voters instead. It's just all fucked. We're just fucked.
But well, it's war. It's now about raw power and war.
Right.
It's
A lot of fun.
yeah. Yeah, that was a bit black pilling. Yeah, okay, yeah, you pulled a few of these.
Let's
I
have some fun.
glimpsed him as I was yeah, I glimpsed him as I was putting them up.
So this is we at least touched on this a little bit yesterday when Candace got loomered. So this is kind of a tell us how you really feel, Laura. I think I can read this. God hates you, Candace Owens. It's why he gave Charlie to Erica and why you didn't even get to say goodbye to him. God hates you. Look in the mirror and internalize how much God hates you. We all hate you. Humanity hates you, and you are irredeemable. Thoughts on that statement?
It's so trash. It is so trash. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have no love for Candace. You you broke my algo because I think you think it's going to feed me. I don't know. Can you hide shit on YouTube? I don't know. I'm not going to go that far.
You
Sure,
can
well,
say don't recommend this topic. I don't know. Good
can
luck
you?
if it'll pick up on what you meant
Yeah,
by that.
that's like asking a company to take your name off their calling list.
Yeah.
Sure, we will, buddy. Sure, we
Mm,
will. But yeah, I don't got much to say. I just on a moral basis, yeah. Are you God? I let you know the mind of God. Blah blah blah.
mm,
I don't got no love for
no.
Loomer. I ain't got no love for Candace. I
This
think they're
is
both.
some vitriol. I've seen Loomer go after some people before. I don't know if she's quite gone to this level.
I don't
Man, it is.
recall, but I don't follow her on the regular either. So I don't. I don't know.
What
I
else we
haven't.
got in funny tweet land? Were there any others I
Uh,
sent you?
yes. Let me pull this one
Let's see.
down and stop. I'm gonna bring the
Now I'm gonna
next one.
get good at this. This way I don't
Yeah.
fuck with my bubbles, my format. I'm gonna
There you
keep it
go. Should
all
have that
ready.
one up.
Yeah, this was a good funny. This was slow of slow news days. I think this was either Sunday evening or Monday morning when we were talking about how it was kind of slow. But this was funny. Libs of TikTok claims media script for trans athlete story. It's just AP wire. And it's a little hard to read there, but yeah, Libs of TikTok kind of throwing up. Who writes this script here? Which I think this is going to affect her ranking in our power. This is an L in my opinion. This is going to affect her ranking for sure.
Yeah, she's
Um,
posted slop before. I mean, I'm not surprised, but she's posted slop before. Again, I don't follow libs of TikTok on the regular, but not surprised.
this was from yesterday. We didn't really get to mention it though. This is Alex Jones is losing InfoWars. The Onion has officially gotten hold of it, and I believe they've hired Eric or Tim Heidecker from like the Tim and Eric show to be like the creative director. This was interesting. So it's reposted by I follow Rex Jones, is Alex Jones's son. The Sandy Hook parents are some of the most vile, opportunistic grifters I've ever seen. There's something deeply disturbing going on with them. Forgetting what what they won in a defamation lawsuit. Not the guy who called them all crisis actors and gave out like where you can go stalk these people. Just funny to me. That's
It was even
no
funnier without it was funnier that Alex was crying that Trump wasn't helping him.
yeah, yeah, right. What do you fucking expect, bro? Like I if it wasn't clear to you that this is a kind of transactional thing with Trump, and once he's done with you, like I don't know. I don't know what he was expecting, you know. But
It
I
don't
more
matter.
than anything, he's using it as another line, another pivot about how the deep state is after him, and you got to help him, and blah blah blah.
Well, good luck because the Democrats will never come over to him. He isn't like Tucker and them. They'll never elevate him. They might elevate Tucker and Marjorie and blah blah blah, but
Right?
Alex is not in that category, and he's
He's
pissed
taking
off
it
a
serious.
good core of the right. Maybe not all of them, but I'm loath to put a percentage on it, but I would say a good amount. He has no goodwill left anywhere. Good luck.
Right. Yeah. He will stay on the fringes where he's always been. Which is
Yep.
funny because this is kind of a moment made for him, but because he's built his career about around being like the landing pad for far right anti-Semitism, but he always frames everything as like, no, I'm the guy who will say it's the globalists instead of the Jews, and that's how you know I'm a good guy. So then when everyone got more extreme, he wasn't able to take that next step because he always positioned himself as the guy who wouldn't just say it's the Jews. And then this I thought was really interesting. I don't know when I started following this account, but yeah, it's a good one for following like drama slop or whatever.
Yeah, drama
But
from the streamers
yeah,
primarily.
from streamers. Yep, exactly. Really interesting from Echelon Insights. Echelon. You tell me
Mhm.
how to pronounce that, Larry.
I think it's echelon.
Top echelon.
Yep.
Do you have a favorable or unfavorable view of Hassan Piker? 7% favorable, 15 unfavorable, 60% said they'd never heard of him.
Yep. I would say that just anecdotally or whatever in real life, anyone who's not plugged in online, which is again we know is the vast majority of people aren't living in the following politics like this. That feels right to me. Vibes right. The vibes are good.
And I thought this one was really interesting as far as agree or disagree. I agree with Hassan's views, and he's an asset to the Democratic Party, 9%, which I think we were kind of debating um,
What does he
how much
bring?
of both Hassan's audience kind of believes his bullshit and how much it might be reflective of the larger base. So it's good to get at least a little bit of data on that.
Like I said, as a MAGA guy, I push him to the forefront. Let him be the. That's fine by me. Yeah, I'm gonna lose New York and California. That sucks. Oh wait, I'm gonna lose New York and California anyway.
Right. Um, yeah, and that's I think as someone who's kind of center left, run him now in primaries so that we know um let all that shit come out now so that all these people who are like, maybe we should invite him into the party realize no, it's not about like canceling. He's an idiot. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And
Nux
he
did
just
a
screamed.
Nux did another hit on him today, and now Nux's titles are always
I watched it. Mhm.
extravagant hyperbole. Oh, did you watch that one today?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. There's a
is
fucking in
it?
every title for Nux.
Yeah, it's his empire is crushed, or his career is crushed. It's not crushed,
Right.
but once you get past the hyperbole of the title, it was actually a pretty good show.
You got to draw him in somehow.
Clicks, clicks, clicks. Speaking of clicks, Black Pill motherfucker, go down 1.4 million views when you finally sent this to me tonight.
um, which people love coming for the slop. So we are checking in on. There's recently a big update in the trial of is it Tyler Robinson? I believe is Charlie Kirk alleged shooter. Um,
Yeah, alleged.
and we're coming up on what's called a I it's a preliminary probable cause hearing is what it's called. So it's something where I didn't have a full understanding of this, but I want to hear or let you hear how Candace frames that, and I'll compare it to I think a really interesting take right after this. But
Pause
you,
before
Larry,
quick.
yeah,
Pause real quick. I just want to before we watch these. The issue I had when I started to watch, I went to the timestamp you marked out, and again, the clips are out of context, so I'd like to hear what the defense response was and all that. Again, you don't. She doesn't do it that way. So the information may be framed one way. She's real good at that mainstream thing, taking that clip and then pegging a story on it. That was what I
yeah,
took away initially.
grafting
Now
the
I'll be more in depth while I'm here with you.
narrative. Cool. All right, let's pick up and let her kind of frame this preliminary hearing.
Charlie was in very good shape. And yes, Granddad, that is not what a 30-06 would do. So we're looking at all the situation, everything that's happened coming into this now probable cause hearing, which is supposed to happen in May, and which they are now meeting at a hearing, as they did on Friday, to say, no, we are not ready to meet in May because we're not being given what we're asking for. So first, let's recap what a probable cause hearing is, right? That's important. It's important that you understand what a probable cause hearing is. And you will recall,
Okay, so just to emphasize, let's talk about what this hearing is, right? So
Mhm.
you tell me, Larry, I'm going to ask you a couple times what you've learned about preliminary hearings through this.
can go back in my older episode. You will recall that after my sit down with Erica, I dutifully reported to you all that when I asked Erica what evidence she had that Tyler Robinson, that had convinced her that Tyler Robinson had committed this crime, since she had been publicly representing that she was so confident that he was the guy. She was telling Barry Weiss, yes, 100%. My assumption was that Erica and her counsel had access to more information than the public, right? That was my assumption. Something that was a slam dunk, like a video of Tyler Robinson, a very clear video of that's our guy, Tyler Robinson, none of this grainy nonsense. Maybe a video of him taking the shot, right? That would make me, as the widow, say, I am 100% certain that's the guy. Something along those lines would have gone a very long way in terms of explaining her certainty.
All right, so have you learned anything about preliminary hearings?
No, I just had to Google it because I'm not a lawyer. And all it is a hearing where a pretrial proceeding where a judge determines whether there's sufficient evidence to justify continuing criminal charges.
Yeah,
Number two I have is why would the cops give her evidence? She's not part of the team. What legal basis would they give her any information about the case? If you watch a SVU, my girl watches a lot of SVU. They always have to
yeah.
tell the victims, "We can't give you that information," or whatever. It's a thing. You can't give, they're building the case and whatnot. But okay, I
Yeah, Erica Kirk is not an investigator. I'm not sure why you would expect her to have, but anyway,
yeah
yeah. Let's keep going. Again, I do think it's interesting. Keep in mind that she mentioned there that if there was something about like surveillance footage, even something about him taking the shot, maybe
yeah
she
I
could
know
understand.
yeah I know where you're going with this because that came out today.
We'll see if she ever mentions anything about what's mentioned in the hearing today from that. But yeah,
I
we'll
actually have a
again
clip for that after this. I actually have a clip for you after this.
do
I
I love it. It's all tying in together, baby. Takes on takes on takes. Um, but yeah, this is again, we're learning what a preliminary hearing is.
Which she expressed throughout multiple media interviews, actually. Uh, but to my shock, she phoned her lawyer, as I told you, and he explained that actually they had nothing more than the public had. And then he went through great pains to explain to me very slowly what exactly a probable cause hearing was, because
Oh, I bet it was painful.
he was kind of making it seem like, oh, well, we don't have more than the public has. Don't you know how this thing works?
yeah
And he explained to me that they were in the period where the state was supposed to go out and find the evidence. So they don't have any evidence yet. Remember, that's December 15th. I'm sitting down with them. No, we don't have any evidence more than the public has, but we're now in the period where the state is going to go find the evidence. And then once they find that evidence, He told me they're going to hand it over to the defense. They're going to hand it over to Tyler Robinson's team so that they could prepare arguments. They get to see the evidence and prepare arguments. Of course, you're the defendant. And then they present
It's called
probable cause hearing.
it's called disclosure, Candace. It's called
Mhm.
disclosure. It's like, even I'm not a lawyer, but even I watch enough TV. I know what disclosure is. You have to give the defense everything you have.
Right. And do you have to do that before a preliminary probable cause hearing or before
Yeah,
trial?
I don't know procedure, but I believe it's before trial, but I'm talking out my ass. I do not know.
After this, we will have someone who is actually local to Idaho, who covers like the local crime beat, who he will fill us in with the real details on this.
Until then, I'll go to the AI. I know it's slop, but I'll go to the AI.
It'll fill you in a little bit. Yeah. We'll get a full picture.
Is what I was told by Erica's lawyer on December 15th. So to put it in layman terms, the goal for the prosecution in this probable cause hearing is to say, Your Honor, look at all this evidence that we have gathered. That's our guy. There is, in fact, probable cause for us to continue this case. There's enough.
So she just actually told you what happens in this hearing. Let's go back and see if any of this contradicts anything that she's mentioned so far as like what the state has provided.
Erica's lawyer on December 15th. So to put it in layman terms, the goal for the prosecution in this probable cause hearing is to say, Your Honor, look at all this evidence that we have gathered. That's our guy. There is, in fact, probable cause for us to continue this case. There's enough proof that that young man should continue to be held in prison as this trial moves forward. And if you're playing defense, the goal is the exact opposite. The goal is to say, Your Honor, the evidence that they have presented is actually fraudulent. These are text messages. Yeah.
No, your goal in this is to prove there's no probable cause. Debating the veracity of the evidence is what you do in a trial.
Yes.
Something like not having the legal grounds, not being in the right state. These are things that would be in preliminary hearing, something that you could get a case struck for. What you're looking for is to be able to argue the trial in the preliminary hearing. It's just so frustrating. I think I got like 30 seconds left.
They're fake. These are just, they made these on AI and here's the proof. So yeah, it might be relevant that at the recent public hearing for the continuance, we learned from Tyler Robinson's team that they can't actually make any arguments on the defense because the FBI is refusing to hand over the evidence that they have been requesting for this supposed to be probable cause evidentiary hearing. Okay. All the FBI is giving is their summary reports. I, Cash Patel, say that this is the gun. Trust me, bro. Love Cash App. Okay. Take a
So
Hell of
again,
a framing.
Yeah, right.
I would
Quite
say
framing.
hell of a framing. I don't know if they're required to or not. Again, they're not the mains in the case. I don't know what the FBI is required to turn over. There's so much I don't know.
Nope. Yeah, no, it's state authorities. Everything about this is a state case. So yeah, I don't know where she's going with this other than it's a buzz name that people know and she can kind of generate some clout around it. Let me see then. Did you get to listen to any of the lawyers debating? Did you want to hear? I think actually
listen to Tyler Robinson's defense.
Yeah, I would say go for it. Whatever you want to pull up. I listened to some of it. Let me put
the other one has more context because if you could believe it or not, Candace chops off some really crucial bits on some of these clips. But I think there was at least one or two more of Candace's kind of
to present 35 exhibits at probable cause hearing. 35, let's call that pictures, if you will, which will, of course, we can assume include the text messages that they very early on released to the public, right? The ones that sounded like they fell out of a Jane Austen novel. My love, this, that, I did everything, A to Z. Well, of course, we were first told that those were Discord messages, but now they are text messages. And you're about to hear Kathy Nestor assert, that's another person on Tyler Robinson's team, that They have not yet even been given access to Tyler Robinson's phone.
Zero mention of the handwritten signed confession letter saying,
Yeah, I was
"Hey,
about to say.
lover,
I'm
when
not.
you read this, I killed Charlie Kirk." What?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm not knee deep in this lore, so yeah, I don't have any like counters for it. But yeah, that's definitely a basic one. I thought he's already admitted to doing it, but
Yeah, he sure
okay.
did. He sure did. But here, let's kind of compare this. So I'm gonna stop sharing this first. All right, hold up, remove, stop screen, because I want to compare this. So I'm bringing up this is again someone who just covers like the crime beat in Idaho and Utah, right? I'm assuming based on this being it happened in Utah, right? Let me get. So this just to give you a little bit of context, his opener here before he gets to the real meat that the listeners are looking for is a follow-up of a murder in 2022 where a woman poisoned a sandwich on Valentine's Day that she fed to her husband. So it's the kind of thing that a local news station would cover for years because it would be kind of the talk. Like that's I just want to give you we're looking at East Idaho News, and they got 100,000 or 500,000 subscribers. Like it's not nothing. But I wanted to compare the clearly biased point of view from an incredibly based local news kind of point of view. Anything before I hit this?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, cool.
On the continuation of the preliminary hearing, which is set for next month. Now, a preliminary hearing, just to kind of set this table, is kind of like a mini trial. And what has to happen is the prosecution has to go in and present enough evidence that there's probable cause that a trial should occur, that a jury should come together, and that there's enough there.
Just for the record, for anyone who's trying to make a YouTube show at home, when you say, "Hey, let's talk about what this thing is," it's really nice to just follow it up with what that fucking thing is, because otherwise it feels
Yeah,
like you're crafting a narrative rather than just talking about what the fucking
yeah.
story.
It's like Rachel Maddow does it too. It's to get you caught up in the story. Like you said, it's a story.
Narrative. Yep, absolutely.
Covered preliminary hearings, very few, but I have where the judge has said there's not enough probable cause here, and it gets struck down from felony court from the district court to the magistrate court in Idaho. This is Utah, a different state. And so basically the prosecution has to kind of go in and show their cards in a way and present enough finding to the court that the judge will say, yes, there's enough evidence. In this case, is the judge going to do that? Yeah, most likely. It would be stunning if he said no, just based on what we know and what we've seen. It is possible, I've seen this more times than not, where the defendant in a serious felony case waives the preliminary hearing. They say, we don't need to have it. We're just going to prepare for trial. The defendant doesn't have to call witnesses, doesn't have to present any evidence, nothing like that at a preliminary hearing. It is solely on the prosecution. Well, the defense is now saying they're not ready. They're not ready for this preliminary hearing. And so the judge gave each side 30 minutes to present their arguments. The defense got it, the state got it, and then the defense was able to do some rebuttal. And basically, I'm just going to jump right in. Then we'll talk about the media access. So the defense, they get up and they say, we're not ready because simply we don't have what we need.
But the bottom line is that we don't have from the prosecution team, and I'm going to explain what I think the prosecution team means in this context, data which is in their possession, which is clearly discoverable under Rule 16, which is what the Constitution of Utah refers to when it talks about appropriate discovery. And that brings up the reliability question under Evidence Code Section 1102.
So he's kind of getting into like the statutes that he's referring to get access to this information. But you'll notice he's just kind of vaguely referring to it as like the data or data packets is how he puts it a couple times.
Yep.
And it's essentially, he's asking for a full kind of database essentially of everybody whose DNA has been run through this laboratory that's ever fucking, like the way he's positioning it is quite unrealistic to think that the state's going to provide that kind of thing. Because he's again just asking for this very vague and general packets. I think this is a good kind of underlining of this.
And
reason
in
here.
really, in light of the law here, needs to say to the state, I can't do the prelim until the defense has the data files in a reasonable period of time. When are we going to get the data files from the ATF and the FBI? And if Mr. McBride, given all of his due diligence, can only say to the court, I don't know, because the FBI hasn't told us when, and the FBI hasn't told us why, then we're just going to have to wait.
So after that, the state was given their 30 minutes. And the state attorney got up and he said, listen, their reasons that they've said for not being ready for a preliminary hearing do not apply to a preliminary hearing. They would apply for a trial, most likely, but not for a preliminary hearing, because the purpose of the preliminary hearing is for one reason only.
The defense has not shown that a continuance is necessary to the purpose of a preliminary hearing. Maybe necessary for other reasons, this material, but not necessary. Maybe this material and discovery of this material is necessary for other purposes, but not for the limited purpose of a preliminary hearing. And the second point is the rules don't require expert notice before the preliminary hearing. Look at Article 1, Section 12, Rule 16, Rule 7B, Rule 1102. They don't require expert notice before the preliminary hearing. Now, I want to start with that first point, which is the real standard, the salient principle from whether it's Longcrier or Lopez is you don't grant a continuance unnecessarily, right? Axiomatic, right? That's the salient principle from those cases. That's what common sense says. You don't unnecessarily continue a hearing, right?
I know this is incredibly dry and boring, but it's so important.
I was going to say, just the tones are so different. She's
Right.
telling stories, and this is like, receipts, facts, receipt, facts.
Exactly.
This
Yep.
reason, and he is right. The purpose of the preliminary hearing, she had, maybe they are by the trial, like you said, and they'll fight that out. That's what lawyers do. Lawyers fight to get shit in, and lawyers fight to get shit thrown out. It's what they do.
Right. Well, yeah, just by virtue of having this hearing on whether or not to delay the May hearing means there's now a follow-up of this hearing on May 8th, which almost certainly means wherever the preliminary hearing is now in June or beyond. It all just gets pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. Because we have such an effective justice system. I'm trying to remember if I want to skip from here.
Why? Well, because it causes delay in the proceedings. In this circumstance, this is not a nominal delay. We're talking at least 6 months for the defense to get this material, review it, and consult their experts, and for their experts to be ready to present expert testimony. But more likely, even more than that, because there's litigation surrounding some of this expert investigation. One of the tests right now has not been performed because there's an objection to it. We're waiting to litigate that issue, depending on what some of the expert discovery shows. In addition, we're probably going to object to some of the expert discovery requests the defense has made and that they made on March 25th. So this is at least a 6-month delay, probably much longer than that, because some of these expert issues have to be litigated.
Now, the defense is asking for a 4 to 6 month delay, and they're saying that the state is saying, no, we don't need a 4 to 6 month delay. That again, there's one reason for a preliminary hearing, and that is to determine probable cause. It's not for discovery. It's not for evidence. It's not to discuss due process. This is a probable cause hearing, and that's it.
That's important because that relates to what a continuance being necessary means, right?
I think I'm going to skip from there. But yeah, he's pretty much underlining again. Clearly, they're not making a compelling enough argument to be able to delay
Yeah,
this.
there are some popular trends I just never get into. But then again, I'm the dork who watched Question Time in the British Parliament today. But I mean, just sitting around and there's middle-aged wives out there in America, lots of them, and they're all drinking their wine in the afternoon and watching the court case of the moment where they argue these and it's. But then again, like I said, to each their own. Whatever intellectual fetish you got, who am I to say? Like I said, I watched the special emergency session of British Parliament today, so
Right. Yeah, you can't talk.
I can't
I'm the
talk.
one who infected your feed with Candace. I can't talk. So, I do really like, so this is what to me really underlines that they never intended, like, it feels almost farcical. Like, it feels like a bit of a mockery of justice, not to be like overly dramatic over here with my lib ass. Um, but the judge is kind of asking, so the state has presented, I skipped over it because it's a little bit dry, but that there are 4 pillars of evidence that they're going to present. Surveillance showing Tyler scoping out the university that morning, going up to the building top, taking the shot, and going back down. The kind of thing that Candace would say, okay, maybe that's a little compelling, but she didn't mention it all. Their second pillar would be a personalized confession. Again, something that she didn't mention at all. A good amount of circumstantial evidence that Candace is going to point to as like part of the false flag kind of shit. And then the last one would be DNA. So like it's only one out of the 4 pillars that they can't address, which they totally can address. But here, the judge is asking them, okay, so out of those other 3, and they gave you all that shit on the other 3. What'd you do on those other 3? And I think it's a little fascinating the answer we get here.
And that's why I'm trying to distill this to its finest point, so I know exactly what you're asking. Because when you say data files can be anything. I want it to be as clear as day, so nobody can say, well, I didn't.
Right, not to go on fucking rant, but this is the same kind of shit that the Alex Jones lawyers would do, where it's like, what do you mean the data of the Google? And it would be like a clear request for Google Analytics based on search results tied to the phrase Sandy Hook. But they would play dumb about like, well, I don't even know what document. This is so vague. Like it's all this kind of like lawyer fuckery. I know I'm
well,
complaining
then it's
about
going to fail. It failed for Alex Jones. It'll fail for that defense. That's what I'm going to say. The
believe
proof's
it
going to be in the pudding once it's done. And right now, this thing looks like I watched an episode about the Jubilee of the Bible, and we're in the last Jubilee, and it was just some whacked out shit. And I put more faith into that than I do this whole Tyler Robinson thing.
like the state's course or the state's case or the defensive case. Which one are you doubting here?
The whole Candace narrative.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't know. I'm too normie. I guess I'm too normie. I'm boring normie.
I don't think you are. But yeah, let's see. Check in again with the defense lawyers here on the homework they did.
Didn't realize it was that. And you're saying the FBI hasn't turned over the data files. That is a very broad statement. And so I want to make sure we distill it to, it is this exactly. So the prosecution can say, okay, well, if we need to communicate with our their federal partners, then they can, and they can say, this is what we needed. But if it's just a broad, we're missing data files, that's difficult for the court to weigh whether it is actually necessary in order for the preliminary hearing to proceed.
So I think then what the court is maybe requesting or maybe suggesting is that there's going to be a continuum from what data we need in order to be constitutionally effective at this prelim versus the continuum from that all the way over to what is more in the nature of expert notice 702 Daubert issues before a trial. And as long as the state's position is none of what you're requesting, not even the digitization of the DNA taken from Mr. Robinson and the DNA lifted from these objects, if the state's position is that
You need the digitization of the DNA. What does that mean?
I have no idea. Do they?
Yeah.
that's
they-
just
is that
Daubert's
just saying
summary.
the paperwork? You know what I mean? It's, you know how it's a code. Your DNA is a code. Is that
Right.
what he's talking about? I don't know. I don't know.
This is why the judge is like, you got to tell me what you want, bro. You got to define it.
That's what it boils down to me. Basically, the judge is telling him, "What do you want?" Sorry.
Yes, tell me what it is you don't have now that would
but-
somehow help you determine probable cause in this case. Because again,
Yeah,
we're not talking
that's
about
a-
the trial. Jesus Christ.
From a very
Then we can have-
uneducated place. From a
Yeah,
very uneducated place. That's what I'm getting.
Right.
the conversation with the court, and we can give the court our view of where the line is between what is data that should be reasonably available to us now versus what is Daubert. But Mr. McBride's position is we don't even need the digitization of the DNA swabs in order for this preliminary hearing to go forward. So if the court, I'm not trying to obviously put words in the court's mouth, but if the court's saying, I'm not going to go that far, but I need to draw a line somewhere, then we can take our discovery letter, which we gave Mr. McBride, and we can tell the court, these are the things that we think we need in order to be able to go forward in the preliminary hearing, and we acknowledge that these other things are more akin to expert notice, Daubert, and Rule 702 issues. We can do that.
And from there, the judge asked each of the defense attorneys to stand up and give a report of where they're at. Like, what area are you reviewing, and how much
think I missed
progress
it.
have
Hold
you
on.
made?
It might have been right at the beginning of this clip, where he just kind of says, I didn't do it. Hold up.
Yeah, the whole thing is just woof, numb, mind numbing.
Yeah, it's dry. It's certainly dry, but it's important, Larry. It's not grabby. What's my timestamp? 30:30.
By something gigantic files of stuff.
Digitization of what we're talking about here. We're talking months of litigation of Daubert.
Shit. Man, how did I get this timestamp completely
Under
wrong?
seal, filed publicly. But as Mr. McBride acknowledges, that includes 3 DNA reports.
It's after this.
That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about a data fund.
Asked both sides, mainly the defense, but both sides, if like what is all the evidence you need? Like what have you gone through all the evidence you currently have? The defense said we haven't. Our paralegals are compiling it, they're organizing it, but there's like 200 terabytes of data or gigabytes, something gigantic files of stuff. And the judge needed to know, like he said, I need to know what, more specifically, what type of evidence you're talking about.
Yeah,
But
what
my
do you
question
want?
is, in order for you to be prepared,
Oh, I'm sorry. I was
made the
just
argument there's a lot.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, hit me. I'm gonna go through this because there's a distinct clip I'm looking for. But
yeah,
do you
no,
have
I was just reiterating. It's what do you want? Just
Mhm.
what do you want? And I can make a ruling on yes, you get it, or no, you don't.
right?
That's again from a very non educated
very
view. Yeah.
Images that they want to use. Have you reviewed all of the video that they want to present? Have you reviewed all of the UVU surveillance? And by the way, this is a letter we received on April 4th. Have you reviewed all the Discord chats that they want to present? No.
The judge went on. He said, I need more specifics of
That's when it gets into what I was talking about before. But yeah, no, clearly like the judge is trying his best to try to find like what it is. Please define it for me so that we don't have this preliminary hearing in May and we have some other like motion to fucking get a continuation on this shit because it's just fucking stupid. It
Yeah.
I don't know. It
And
lacks any
I
kind
don't
of utility.
and I don't even think it's particularly unusual or anything. Like I said, I think I've seen a little bit of this court stuff. You know, you go by court TV back in the old days when you would actually channel surf, and I'd stop for 5 minutes and kind of watch it and then get bored and move on. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much more to say about it because I don't know, and I'm willing to let everybody cook, and I'll wait till the meal's served at the trial because that's going to be like O.J. Simpson time. It's going to be trial of the century.
And that's Candace will tell you that's what they want. They want breads and circuses all around the show trial of the century. Which
Yeah, but
man, I think
Luigi's going to be bigger because he's getting off. Mark my words,
really
way ahead.
right, there's no
He's,
way.
mark my words.
That'll be fascinating. If when is that trial?
Next year.
Really?
Yep.
God, our justice system sucks. All right. Well,
When is
this
this
guy-
one? When are they predicting this one to get to trial? Late this year? I know it's sped up
yeah,
because she
probably
has that
middle
right in
here.
Utah.
The next hearing is May 8th to determine whether or not there should be a continuation on the preliminary hearing. So
Good
yeah, May
Lord.
8th is our next update for this.
All right, well, let's finish this topic out. I have a screen to share. I haven't even watched this clip. I just saw the thing come by. And yeah, let me share it real quick.
We're gonna raw dog this thing.
It says Candace Owens coping hard. You know what? Here. Candace Owens coping hard about the Tyler Robinson hearing today. She's angry that prosecutors have a video of Tyler Robinson on the campus. Why? Because she lied to her fans saying he never stepped foot on the campus. So what does she do? She makes a new conspiracy. Now, I'll let her talk to herself.
I'm getting the sense that they had multiple Tyler Robinson lookalikes that day. That's
Come on.
Naturally.
Come on.
why the footage is grainy. And
always
it's just
make up more
impossible that all
bullshit.
this footage is.
I'm sorry.
No, you can
Oh.
just always make up more bullshit. This is the same reason Alex Jones had to produce 17 different versions of loose change and the government did 9/11. Because the second you can fucking torpedo one of the arguments, it's like, all right, get that shit out of there. We'll refill it with something else.
Reframe.
Going to be grainy.
Reframe.
Okay. I think there were multiple Tyler Robinson lookalikes, and they were wearing maroon shirts and wearing hats and wearing what they were supposed to wear. And they're never going to show us a clear
Wearing
picture
hats.
of Tyler Robinson because it's very easy to find a Tyler Robinson lookalike and to blur it. That is my conspiracy theory. I'm getting the sense that they had multiple Tyler Robinson look.
Yeah, I know what you do with that. Millions of views.
Maroon shirts and hats, man. All it takes is to find any little bit of pattern, and she will look at it all fucking day, right? It doesn't matter how much you prove the counterfactual does not matter to Candace. It doesn't exist.
But I mean, if she's got 1 million people coming looking for their daily snake oil, I mean,
I clicked. Mm-hmm.
so
And
who's
that's-
at fault? Yeah, she's at fault, but so there's 1 million people eating this shit up.
And this is, I think, speaks to what was her name? Batia was on Trigonometry. How much of the audiences of these, especially the largest of these voices, are kind of like hate watchers or at least just morbid curiosity kind of thing.
Possible.
Yeah, right.
To say they
be
don't
hard.
have a fan base. Now, how much of that is organic and how much of that is not organic? Again, different people, different ideas.
Allegedly.
I wish I cared more enough to really like dig into it, but I don't. But yeah, I mean, it's sad. It is so sad. It is so sad. We can't catch a viewer, but she's got a million people eating
But
that
you
shit
gotta
out of
tell,
her hand.
hey, leave a comment down below about your favorite takedown from this episode. Hit us with people we need to be covering. What do we got?
that's
Anything else you want to hit before we hit the road? I'm trying to think.
No, we can do that. That Andrew Wilson, since we have time coming in.
Yeah.
So give me a moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun. It was a fun. Like I said, you had sent me something to watch, and I went into my YouTube to pick it up, and I was like, "Whoa, Andrew Wilson's over on trigonometry," because Constantine is a good. He's an intellectual. I mean, he's smart enough to take him on. All right, you should have it up now. Now this is Andrew Wilson, also a real smart guy on the right. Very calm demeanor.
We should definitely consider getting added his little head onto the talking head list, which I know Constantine's on that list. So
yeah, and he does real well. He does, and now we gotta get the frog in. His views do pretty well, et cetera, et cetera. One moment here. I'm adjusting my screen, getting it all ready.
Yeah, I know you've sent me this guy before. I had stumbled across him months ago when we were first kind of like trying to cross the stream, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I know
He's like
I've agreed with a couple of his takes.
Yeah, he's like a calmer Andrew Wilson and smokes far less.
Or just taking edibles, smoking a bong rip or two, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm not used to driving. All right, give me a moment here. I'm gonna go ahead and start him up.
Trigonometry. This got very interesting because it goes exactly how we have seen this go before. They have not taken the time to think these things through in this way. So when Andrew just asked them very bluntly, it leaves them unable to respond.
Like, let's start with this. Do you want women to be able to get drafted in the military?
I personally don't. No.
Why?
Why?
Why not? Even if they're not in combat roles, they could be providing support. There are women in the military. So why don't you want them to be drafted?
Because I've never really thought about it, but it's just an instinctive reaction, actually.
I like both these guys. I've spoken to them. Can see.
Feels, vibes. And that's why Andrew's so effective, because he's thought, first of all, he's got the ground. He's Sun Tzu right here. He's already knows he's going to win because he's thought about it and thought about all the ways out of it. But he is right. I mean, he is right. In this day and age, equality means they should be, even if they have to take support roles, they should be drafted too.
And why not combat roles?
Yeah. Well, if we were having that discussion, if I were placing that argument, why I don't want women, because let's wait till we get there, because they asked them that. Let's wait till we get there.
Perfect. Okay, because I didn't get this far. To Constantine's credit, he does straight up say, and he almost starts to rationalize, but he at least stops and goes, you know what? I haven't really thought about it.
Yeah.
So
this reminds me of the assisted suicide discussion we had early on when we started getting back together, and we were talking about, and I was like, well, I really hadn't put that much thought into this. I'm really going to think about where my position is on this, because I'm instinctively against assisted suicide, instinctively, without thinking it through.
I thought about these things in this way before.
I'd have to think about the exact reason, but I just don't think combat is what men do. I guess it's a very simplistic way of saying it. And there'll be women who I can kick your ass, and there are women like that, right?
Agreed. But not generally.
What I am not against women serving in the military if that's what they choose to do.
Yeah, but what about the draft though?
But I don't think they should be compelled to. No.
You installed this?
Oh,
even had a few screws left over.
This time it's my fault with the I am springing for Premiere. I'm doing it.
Hey, this is why we need to start a Patreon, and y'all need to give us some money so we can get you uninterrupted videos.
But you know what? YouTube is my main streamer, so I don't know why I don't pay him. I mean, it's where I go to damn near more than anyone else. Yeah,
that's
fucking
right.
A. But it's my main thing.
Women can serve in the military. They can provide logistics. They can even do combat in some cases. Why should men be compelled, but women not?
I don't think they should be compelled to. No.
But men should.
I think in some circumstances, yes, like when the survival of the country is at stake.
So women get a privilege men don't get.
Sure. Why
And-
then
and
men
so-
get certain privileges
But
too,
so
right?
Notice what you said there. Men get certain privileges too. What is an example of male privilege? When you actually ask the question, no one can answer. You're going to see it play out right here.
No, what privileges? Name a single privilege men get that women don't have access to. What?
You mean legislative?
Anything.
And he's opening up the table to absolutely anything.
Like literally
What
anything.
in life?
Any aspect, whether it be governmental, social, women have all the privileges.
And this bothers people. But when you ask them, okay, but
Okay.
why does this bother you? They
I'm sorry. Can you think of a male or privileged men get that women don't?
Are you familiar with the idea of like feminine products being an expense for women through most of their adult lives, where it's not something that cuts into men's income, like their discretionary?
I am. Pink Shoe on Head has a good video talking about this topic. I'm going to send that to you. It's one of her early ones. Yes, and I don't have the facts as easy to recall, but she goes into the whole thing why they are more expensive. But that's not really a privilege. That's a marketing thing. Part of it is the pink paint. I do remember that was one of them things. Pink paint makes the things more expensive.
I, throughout my entire adult life, never once have I walked from a grocery store, department store, to my car at closing time when the lights or the street lights are on and it's all dark out. I've never really worried about, oh, is anyone working or like lurking near my car? It's literally never occurred to me until I had a more intimate relationship with a woman who would explain, hey, that's something we kind of need to worry about. And unless you think that's like made up, I feel like that's at least one example.
Yeah, but no, but that's not a privilege. That's just a fact of life. That's not a privilege. Men
feel
can
like
protect
that's what a
themselves.
privilege
Women
is.
can't. There is no such thing as a society where women have been perfectly protected. You can't create a society where there is no violence and where men won't.
Acknowledging a privilege existing, that there has to be some attempt to overcome. Here's an example of privilege that you and I both.
Yeah, that's not a
enjoy.
privilege though. That's a biological truth. That women are more vulnerable.
Can I ask you a question, Larry? Do you
Mhm.
believe that you and I, since neither of us suffer from dwarfism, let's say, we both have things that it's a privilege that it doesn't occur to us, the obstacles that those people might feel like privilege isn't a bad thing. I think the left has used it as like a bludgeon, but I don't think it's inherently bad to have. I think black people have privilege, women have privilege. Like I feel like everyone has some sort of privilege in one way or another. And that
But that's
doesn't
not
mean
what you're defining isn't privilege. That isn't a privilege. A privilege is something you have or something that is given to you that is not given to others. That would be a privilege. So your dwarf example. Well, the dwarf is not normal. The dwarf is a small percentage of the population. You can't create you know how expensive and inefficient it is to try to
that's
mold
why
your
I
whole
just
society.
said it's not inherent in the idea of a privilege that we need to make it like that's. I think you're prescribing something to what I'm saying that isn't there. I think
Okay.
you got to listen to the notes I'm not playing, bro.
No. I'm listening now because I am intrigued.
Right? No,
I think what we're having an issue with is the term privilege. What you
it's-
see as a privilege, I see as the factors of life or the truth of life. Yes, women are going to feel more threatened because they are physically weaker. But it's always been that way. It will always be that way. But I don't see that as a privilege of being a man.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we need to. Like, there's no prescription I'm giving you with that. I don't think privilege
Perfect.
is
Okay.
inherently bad. I feel like because of one of the ways we most commonly use privileged is like rich, spoiled kids, that I think we connotation wise, we just attach a lot of negativity to it. When I don't
Well,
personally, I don't see it as a negative.
that's the original definition of privilege. You're privileged because you're protected by your status.
Right. Words have more than one meaning though, right? Like when we talk about privilege, it isn't just someone having a lot of money.
Ah. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So, all right, we'll move on. Then I'm gonna go ahead and move on. Then I do understand where you're saying. We still disagree, but I do understand where you're coming from. All right,
All right, hit
where
one.
did I? Yeah, let me pull him up. I'm sorry, I was looking for that shoe on head video because I do. She could. It was one of her very first videos way back in the day, and it was it's so funny you brought up that topic. And I'm gonna find it and send it your way. I'm gonna have to go through her. I'm gonna have to go through her whole damn library to find it though.
Can't you
'Cause I
just
can't
sort
remember
by
what.
oldest?
Well,
It'd probably be easier to go back and scroll down a little bit, you know?
and no, but this was like 2015. This is when she was still with Armored Skeptic. This is old. This is
So
when
it's
she
not even like
started
her
her.
channel.
No, it's her channel, but she's gonna have 1,000 videos since then.
Well, that's what I'm
All
saying.
right.
It doesn't let you sort by old.
Oh, you might be able to. You might be able to. I've never
Feel like
never
it's up
searched.
to the
I've never.
creator.
Yeah,
Keeper.
I've never searched that way. You know, I never had any reason to. So I'll go looking for it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play him.
Alright,
Can't
cool.
really tell you. It's just it doesn't feel right.
All the privilege.
Oh yeah. Hey, when the Titanic goes down, who gets on the lifeboat?
Yeah, but that's a very narrow context. Well, who dies in childbirth, right? Like, I mean, come on, we're different, and
Almost no women die in childbirth anymore.
some still do.
Sure, but I mean,
Right.
some people die.
They're
in-
just
they
like,
die
I mean,
in
there's
car
probably more
accidents,
women
things
that
like
die in
that.
childbirth in America than people who die on the Titanic in the modern
Yeah,
years,
is
right?
childbirth avoidable? You just don't have sex, right?
So he's pointing out a logical difference. The government is not compelling women to have children. They are compelling men to enlist for the draft.
What are any? Can you give me any privilege at all that men have that women don't? Whereas I can give you tons of privileges that women have that men don't. That's what I'm asking.
Privilege. Well, I mean, the privilege concept outside the legislative framework is a difficult one.
Even inside of it, I'm asking for both. Either, any, in fact.
See, notice how difficult this is, yet people talk about male privilege as though it is so prevalent, yet no one can really point to anything.
And notice he doesn't reach for your version of privilege because he's not of the progressive mind.
Right.
In other words, that's a very progressive definition of privilege. That's not he's a liberal, he's not a right winger, but he didn't reach for your version of privilege because that is a progressive definition of privilege.
I agree with that.
I don't have the data on all this stuff, but I would assume there are contexts in which men are more likely to be employed for a certain thing because they're more likely to be perceived as authoritative, as leaders, things like that.
That's the best they can come up with. Well, I could imagine this thing happening. There's no way to measure that. And I like Konstantin. It's fascinating to me that once you're in this position, you begin to make a progressive leftist argument. As a teacher, the vast majority of teachers were female. Is there a bias in hiring teachers?
Although that has changed with the kind of woke agenda of the last 10 years.
And it works both ways. Like, for instance, preschool teachers.
Yeah.
I would assume that people would vastly prefer that their kid go to a woman, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like that privilege is striped across the board.
So is Constantine a sexist? You're muted.
My bad. I wouldn't say so. No. I guess rephrase the question. What is it?
The example he used was you have a child. Would you prefer having daycare be done by a man or a woman?
Right. No. What's sexist about that? About associating maternal instincts with women?
Yeah. That's why. Yeah. But that is a thing.
To me, I would describe that as if I were a woman, I'm privileged in the fact that people might trust me with even just their young ones inherently. That's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a fact of life, like you were saying.
Yeah, it's just a fact of life. That's why I wouldn't use the word privilege. It's not really a privilege. It's just what is.
So I
It's
guess
just a description of
when I say
of
privilege, anytime I'm able to say I have the privilege of not having to do X or Y, that to me it's kind of the inverse of, instead of what was the way that Andrew was phrasing it there? Because I did like that. It's informative
I'll
into
go
your
back.
viewpoint, even if I disagree.
Yeah,
Yeah, go back like even just like 20 seconds or so. Whenever he was
I think it was
talking
about here.
Woke agenda over the last 10 years.
And it works both ways. Like, for instance, preschool teachers,
Yeah.
I would
Oh.
assume that people would,
Yeah, that was the discussion, was where he was saying, well, you know, like oil rigs. Oil rigs are going to prefer men over women because you need upper
Mhm.
body strength. You need, it's tough times. You're out on the field living in shit and dirt, and women, it's just, it's a tough job. And then, that's why men generally make more money. That's the wage gap, is because you're comparing office jobs to guys on oil rigs or climbing towers, or
Right.
they're
No,
going to
and
make more
I get
money. It's a
that,
more dangerous job.
needing to compare like to like, for sure.
Yeah, needing to compare
Um,
like to like.
I was just gonna say something.
But as far as
Go
the
ahead.
the reason I don't think of it as privilege, like that doors that I don't have to step on a step stool to reach the top shelf of a cabinet, I don't consider that a privilege. Most houses are built regular size for regular people because that's what financially makes sense. It would make no sense to build every house with cabinets that come to most people's knees.
I guess, where are you getting that anyone thinks that we should build every house to the like? That's what where
Okay.
I guess
Well, then,
you're
but why do I have to think about it? Why do I have to consider it a privilege or anything like that? Why is that
because
even?
say that you were like organizing an event for your local office or like your work office, and you didn't take into account someone who did have some sort of disability. Like that's
Oh, then you're an
where the
asshole.
like
Well, then
being
I would say that
mindful.
person's, yeah, being
Okay, I
mindful in
agree.
it. I'd assume, first of all, we have a dwarf employee who's coming to the event.
Right. Do you always know like clients you might be meeting? Do you always know some other organization who might be like, I don't know whatever it might be, you're partnering with on a certain doing concessions at an event, whatever the fuck it might be. Like that's just being slightly mindful that other people have different life experiences than you. If that's woke, then I'm still woke, bro. Like I
Yeah,
don't
that's
feel
fine.
like
And I accept that. And I say at the same time, it doesn't come into my consideration. I'm cold. I'm cold.
I'm not here to change you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm
And
just
I'm
here
not
to
here to
express.
change you either, brother. All right.
vastly prefer that their
I
kid
would.
go to a woman, right?
Right.
So it seems like that privilege is striped across the board. So, like, what is the, why
Yeah.
is it that women get all
That was his logical argument, by the way, was yes, men have privilege in that area, but so do women. There are some
And that's, I
professions
think that
that you
his
prefer to
point,
have a
I
woman.
think he's kind of coming down on almost the same kind of angle I am of, yeah, of course there's a privilege that men have and there are privileges that women have. My liberal ass would be looking at the weight of these things, but I think it's completely fair to say that there are all sorts of privileges that all sorts of different people enjoy. I don't know.
Yeah. And mine probably would be the definition of privilege. All right.
of the equality, right? But also get all the privilege.
The power to save
Oh
lives
boy.
is within you.
Dancing people. Oops, I hit pause.
Donate plasma.
Yeah, I'm doing that. But by the end of the week, by tomorrow, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I need to
You
get me
don't
an
have to do it
AI.
for the show. You should do it for you.
Well, I
Because
should do it
you
for me.
watch
Like
a lot of it.
Doesn't seem right to
I
me. That
do.
seems like it's backwards. So, like, I'm still waiting to hear from anybody ever. What are these? What are these privileges men have over women versus what women have over men?
If you've ever been curious about buying and investing in crypto, Bitcoin, stable coins,
Nope.
USAT, or even gold-backed stable.
Fun fact: I had a Bitcoin way back in the day when people were still buying pizzas with them.
No.
Someone gave it to me for running them through a dungeon, or well, we called them STFs in the game. And yeah, I lost it, didn't know anything about
Yeah.
it, and motherfuckers worth all that money nowadays. He gave me a couple of them for running through, but it was just a gimmick back then. It was, whatever, 2013, 14.
Bucks or whatever. Yeah. Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
At the
Just
very
don't think about
center
it.
of this issue,
Yep.
regardless of where you land on it, we must acknowledge the flaw. And that's what Andrew is pointing out.
So, if you can go and you can be drafted, you can be sent off to war, right? And women can't, but they can vote to send you off to war. How is that not something which fundamentally needs to be addressed immediately? That seems to me like it's completely lopsided and it's giving one class of people a significant privilege over another.
So if we allowed women to be drafted, you'd be happy with them having the vote?
Well, see, now we come into pragmatic problems, though. The reason that you said earlier, I'm against women being drafted, is because they can't really serve in combat roles. Only in support roles, which draftees of men would have to serve in combat roles. The reason women don't do well in combat roles is because, well, driving tanks is hard work. It takes muscles, and you got to, run the shells, and you have to carry hundreds of pounds of equipment with you, and you have to do all of this type of thing. And generally speaking, women aren't equipped for it, which is why we've never had a female Navy SEAL to date, even though they've been trying for like 25 years. We still haven't had a single one.
Also, there are other considerations, such as women get pregnant, and you have to have cohesiveness in the force. You can't be pulling women, out of the thing. Number two, when women are, this is my personal reasons. He doesn't cover these. The other reason I would not let women be drafted for or put in combat roles is when the enemy gets a hold of a woman. I'm talking the Russians. I'm talking the Islamic or what they do to women is much worse. Men women receive the reverse privilege using your language, because they will be raped, they will be violated. They're what happens to a woman is generally worse than what will happen to a man.
Right.
Can't do the job.
Now Francis is going to take a stab at him. And I like both these guys. This is nothing personal. This is about
Francis,
being objective and calling balls and strikes.
I guess, but when you vote for a government, you don't vote whether to go for war or not. It's the government that makes the decision. There's plenty of people who voted for Donald Trump and are absolutely disgusted that he's started a war with Iran.
I thought government was force. We all agreed on that, right? Government's force. Like, ultimately, that's what it reduces to. So when you say you're voting for force, and you're voting for force.
That was a big discussion they had earlier. Did you watch that part? Because that was very early on. He was establishing terms.
I know I watched the first half of this at least.
I do recommend watching the whole thing. It really is a good discussion.
Force use. Why does the United States have a massive military? Well, because we're going to use it. That's why we're going to use it. And why do we have a draft? Well, because we're going to use that too, and have used it. And we're going to institute a draft at some point again, likely. It's more likely than not. At some point, we're going to do it. So the thing is like, why do women get exempt from that? And if it's the case that you don't want them exempt from that, why is it that they don't go right to the front lines then and battle it out, like draftees have at least the potential to? Well, that's a fundamental privilege that is not being addressed, right? And yet women have the vote. Doesn't seem like they care too much about men's rights, even though we're supposed to care about theirs. Seems like they have a lot of privilege in society.
Isn't that fair, Andrew? I think a lot of women care about men's rights, actually. Look, there's a vocal minority which say that they don't and they hate men. And look, we know those type of women. But let's be honest, a lot of women care about men's rights. They do.
A lot of women care. I don't even know what it is. A lot of women care about men's rights, but who?
Give me like three of the most prominent ones you can think of.
Who care about men's rights? Well,
I'm going to help you out here, Francis. Camelia LaPaglia. She's a feminist. She's a trans person even, or identifies as trans. And she's really big on men's rights. She's all about how our society's killing the boys off, and it's bad for society. I'll bring her. I haven't seen her around the last 10 years or so, but she was real big back in the IDW days too. She was another lefty. She was trans, but she had very different ideas on feminism.
And I know,
and we're right at the end of this.
No, you're good. I'm sorry. But just for the record, shoe on head, right? Wasn't it? 'Cause she's been pretty vocal about there are clearly men loneliness epidemics and shit like that. But I don't know how that. I don't know. I'm trailing off.
She looks out for the boys. That brings up a woman who's worried about men.
Yeah, I guess that would be it. Would she still consider herself a feminist because of the modern connotations? Would she consider herself like a third wave? I don't know any of that.
I think she would. Yeah, I think she would call her the first wave feminists were the ones who were trying to get equality, suffrage, or actually the first wave feminists were the ones who were trying to get a right to vote. That's what they consider the first wave. The second wave were the ones equality, equal to men. And then third wave feminists are the new ones, and they're the ones who want to be men. That's would be the
Yeah,
right
so
wing.
wait, second wave was like bank accounts and shit, right? Now I'm looking it up. Second wave.
Yeah, that's like Gloria Steinem, the 70s,
no, wait.
burning their bras,
Okay. I almost
women in
just
the
tried to
workforce.
search on the StreamYard tab, so I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm a little tired.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we should.
Yeah,
we
we're
get into
wrapping it
this.
up. There's literally
Yeah,
less
yeah.
than a minute, and I think there's one last good point.
Now suddenly it becomes very difficult to actually come up with a single name.
The burden of bearing the child is uniquely with women in the same way that the burden of fighting in war is uniquely with men.
But the very nature of those two things is different. One is not compelled by the government.
So it's an ontological argument. The nature of woman is to have children, nature of men is to go to war.
Right. And so
Then the woman needs to be fulfilling her nature then, right?
Well, my woman is, and so is yours,
Yes,
right?
but most
So
women
I would
aren't.
insist for my woman
Yeah.
to have the right to vote on that basis, that she's contributing, frankly, at this point, way more than I am.
Drafting's collective, right?
Yeah.
So then the duty's collective?
Yeah.
Then why isn't childbirth?
And once again, they have no response.
If men are compelled to draft, women should be compelled to have babies. According, if you're using that argument,
You're using that argument.
Stop in there. No, I'm just saying if you follow that
Exactly.
argument to its logical conclusion, because he
Mhm.
says, men go to war, women have babies. Okay, but the difference between the two are women do not have to have babies.
Right, but you're okay with the draft. Yeah, right.
But I thought that was fun. I know it wasn't a super exciting show, but we don't have a whole lot happening tonight.
I think we did a good job of piecing this one together. And it's tradition to get at least one take on take. So I'm glad we got Warren talking,
Yeah.
Warren talking, Andrew
Yeah.
Wilson.
And thanks for the content, guys. And we should have Bridge and Power Plant Day maybe coming, maybe not. Nobody knows. Who knows? Trump's holding his cards. So we don't know what's going on there. But I do look forward to.
Do we know just when our next update, when talks would be, or when?
We know he's waiting for the Ford to get into theater, and he's waiting for the other set of Marines to get into theater. And I believe they're a couple of days away. But otherwise, I mean, we do know they run out of gas in a week, 10 days, 20 days. I've heard different estimates. And we'll see how long. Right now, Iran is playing the game that, well, as long as we stay alive, we're going to beat them. We can wait them out. And Trump thinks he can strangle them before that. So we shall see.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for checking in, y'all. Hit the subscribe, the like, all that good shit. Hit us with a comment on who we should be covering. But until next time, have a good night, y'all.
Yeah, have a night. Peace.
Peace.